Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 mod review. Today we're checking out a very popular weapon from World War II, and that is the STG-44 by Broodahood. This is going to add back that classic World War II German assault rifle into Fallout 4, and we have had some STG-44 mods in the past, but this one is really special, featuring a ton of custom animations, a ton of customization over at the weapons workbench, and patches for just about every mod you could imagine, including things like side aim framework, tactical reload, and even some leveled list patches that we'll get into a little bit later. As far as I'm concerned, if you're going to be downloading an STG-44, I think this is definitely the one that takes the cake. There's just so much available in this mod, and so much customization options, not only on the weapon itself, but also in the way that you download this thing with all of the patches, and there's even multiple versions of the mod. This is definitely the way to go. Not only can you customize all of the basic attachments you'd expect, like sights, muzzles, magazines, what have you, but there's also a ton of skin options, not only for all of the metal parts of the weapon, but also the wood furniture. Additionally, this weapon even has additional animations depending on which attachments you throw on the weapon. So if you throw on a bigger magazine, you're going to get a different reload animation. Additionally, there's custom bayonet animations in this mod, which is something you don't see too often, and they look really nice. We'll show that off more in the animation section. So if you want to get your hands on this weapon after you install the mod, you are going to need to craft it at the chemistry station, at least in the basic version of the mod. You'll see that there's a newly added section known as Weapons STG-44, and from there you can craft the STG-44 assault rifle, as well as the new 7.92mm Kurtz round. In order to craft the STG-44, you're going to require 12 adhesive, 10 aluminum, 5 plastic, 16 screws, 8 spring, and 10 steel, and it's going to require gun nut rank 2. In order to craft the ammunition, you're going to need 1 acid, 5 lead, and 2 steel, and that's going to give you 50 rounds, which is kind of crazy, to be honest. That's a lot of ammo for not that many parts, but hey, is what it is when you're adding a new ammunition like this. But hey, that's not the only way to acquire this weapon. There is actually an optional file on the mod page that will allow you to implement leveled list integration. So if you go that route, this weapon will start spawning out in the world on traders and enemies after level 20. Now let's look at the stats of this weapon. This thing has a base damage of 24 in fully automatic. It uses the new 7.92mm Kurtz rounds, has a fire rate of 100, a range of 239, an accuracy of 79, a weight of a whopping 21.2 pounds. I'm not sure how accurate that is to the real world weapon, but I got to assume it's a bit heavier in the mod here. And it has a value of 212 caps. And the model for this is absolutely beautiful. A very nice recreation of the STG-44. Now let's talk animations. The animations in this mod are absolutely beautiful, and you get a full suite of them. You get custom animations for unequipping the weapon, as well as equipping the weapon. Of course, custom reload animations will show right now, as well as some beautiful firing sounds. There is actually an option for a tactical reload version of this mod if you like that, so it is in the optional files of this mod as well. And there's even custom animations for the bash, the sprinting, and grenade throws. On top of all of that, there's even custom animations for third person. One more thing I did forget to show off is if you equip a bayonet with this mod, there's even a cool custom animation for the bayonet that I like a lot. Now, I think that covers most of the big stuff. Let's talk about the attachments over at the weapons workbench. There's some really cool stuff for this weapon. When we start off, we have the receiver section where we have standard all the way up through advanced, giving you a maximum semi-automatic damage of 63 compared to the standard 36. There's also a powerful automatic version that will give you full auto capabilities and a maximum damage of 41. For the ammo section, we have the option to use the standard 7.92 by 33 Kurtz, and even the option to rechamber this thing into 7.62 by 39 Soviet, which will use the Nuka World version of the 7.62 ammunition. For the stock, we only have one option, which is the standard stock. Sadly, there is no customization in that regard. For the barrels, we have the standard barrel, a shortened barrel, and an extended barrel. For the muzzle devices, we have the standard muzzle device, a small compensator, a heavy compensator, a K98 bayonet, and a suppressor. Then for the handguard, we have the option to throw on a wrapped sling, which looks really cool and very wastelandy. For the furniture, we have the option to change out some of the colors. We have red oak, frozen, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but it'll make a little more sense when you see the receiver that pairs with this. Trench warfare, water damaged, burned, birch, cedar, cherry, ebony, mahogany, maple, pine, poplar, purple heart, and walnut. Then for the magazine, we have the option to throw on the standard magazine, which is 30 rounds, an assault magazine, which is smaller and has 20 rounds, and then a heavy magazine for a whopping 45 round capacity. And this thing looks massive and kind of ridiculous. Then for the sights, we have the standard iron sights, the NIDAR reflex sight, the Robco holographic sight made by Cadaver, and the ZF4 scope. Then for the charm section, we actually have the ability to throw on an animated charm, and we have multiple versions of the German Iron Cross. We have worn, factory, chrome, and gold. Then for the damage modifier section, we do have damage modifiers in case this does too much or too little damage in your load order. You can modify this thing from -100 all the way up to positive 200%. Then for material, this is going to change the material of the metals on this gun. We have worn, which is standard. Frozen, which you'll see gives a nice blue coat to the metal. Looks like it's covered in ice. Trench warfare will make this thing rusty and dirty. Water damage, burned. Factory, copper, chrome, gold, and rose gold, which isn't really rose gold, just a nice metallic pink. Now then, let's go ahead and run some damage tests. Let's see how this weapon performs at various states of customization. We'll be starting off with the standard version of the weapon with no perks and no attachments, using a Deathclaw as our baseline for damage. And then we'll have a fully upgraded version of this thing in fully automatic and a fully upgraded version of it in semi-automatic to see how they all compare and which option is right for you and your character. Now then, let's start off with the base version of the weapon, aiming for the Deathclaw's weak point, fully automatic, no attachments, and no perks. Wow, we actually killed that Deathclaw in exactly 30 rounds. So if you're really good at staying on target while this thing is moving around, you could potentially kill it pretty quick, even with no attachments. Pretty interesting. Let's see how this thing does when it's fully upgraded. And to be expected, with about double the damage, we use half the rounds that we would expect. This thing killed it in about 16 shots compared to 30. Now let's see how it does fully upgraded in semi-auto. My guess is around 8 or 9 shots to put this Deathclaw down. And just like that, we put that Deathclaw down in 8 shots. So this is a fully upgraded version of the weapon with none of the damage modifiers or perks. So you could get this to even higher damage if necessary. So that's pretty crazy. A fully upgraded rifleman perk would put that Deathclaw down in 4 shots, making this a pretty powerful weapon. Good thing the level list doesn't have it start spawning until after level 20. So yeah, that is the STG-44 by Broodahood. Now there is one more thing to talk about, and that is the plethora of patches and add-ons for this weapon. We mentioned it a couple times throughout the video, but let's go over what exactly you can actually download with this mod. Now, there's 2 main versions of the mod. One is available with 2K textures, and one is available with 4K textures. The 2K option is going to come in at about 500 megabytes, and the 4K version is going to come in at almost a gig. So keep that in mind whenever you're trying to save space. There is an AMD patch for this weapon, so if you are an AMD user, the sights may be purple. You can download that patch, no problem, and that'll fix it right up. There's also a leveled list patch, like we talked about earlier, that'll spawn this thing in at level 20. There is a version that will lower the sound, so if you thought the firing sounds were a bit too loud for your game, you can lower them with an additional patch. There is a patch for the side aim framework, so you can use canted sights with this weapon. There is a patch that will reduce some of the camera movements on the animations, which I think is a pretty cool option for those of you who don't like a ton of camera sway. And then there is a tactical reload patch, so that is awesome for those of you who like really realistic reload animations. And that is pretty much everything for the STG-44, an absolutely fantastic mod by Broodahood, definitely one you should check out if you're a fan of World War II era weapons, or you just want something really nice with some beefy damage to play with. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the mod, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to drop a rating, it really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. Big shout out to all of my patrons for supporting every single video, and a very special thank you to Captain Chaos, Helljumper, Indecisive Wolf, Jackie Noid, Cushy, Logan Rigmaiden, Mikerhan, Moonlit Gamer, Official Zfexer, Feed, Timmy76, Youth RC, and Voider for joining that Tier 3 Patreon membership. If you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, you can do so using the link down in the description, but it is completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!